Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, thank you for your time this morning. My name is Wendy Horman. I'm from District 32 in Bonneville County. Many of you know or are about to learn that the reason I ran for elected office in the first place was because I care about the education of every child. No exceptions, every child, no matter where they're learning. Today, I continue that effort with the co-sponsors you see listed on your statement of purpose with the Idaho Parental Choice Tax Credit Bill. The way it works is beginning in 2025 tax year and after, parents would receive a refundable tax credit for an eligible student that incurs a qualified educational expense, up to $5,000 per child, $7,500 per child with disabilities. An eligible student is defined as a full-time Idaho resident, ages 5 to 18, or any students with disabilities, ages 5 to 21. A credit cannot be claimed for any semester in which the student is enrolled in a public school. Qualified expenses include K-12 tuition and fees for attending a non-public school, tutoring, nationally standardized tests for college admissions, AP exams, prep courses for national assessments, textbooks, curricula, and specific transportation costs. As with public schools and per current law, for non-public students, a student must receive education that includes English, math, science, and social studies. All families may apply for the refundable tax credit during the application timeframe, but families whose income is less than 300% of the federal poverty level, which is around $95,000 gross, $65,000 adjusted gross, will receive the highest priority and can also elect to have a one-time advance tax credit payment in their first year of participation in the program. Last year's bill had a grant. This year has an advance payment. In addition to this year's bill from last year's bill is that parents of foster children, as long as they're in good standing and qualified foster home in accordance with Idaho code, are also eligible. This bill does not take funds from public schools. It cannot increase, the amount cannot increase, which is $50 million, if I didn't say that already, for available tax credits, cannot increase unless a future legislature determines it can. Like any other appropriation or revenue reduction, the full legislature has to decide. That is a responsible number that we believe will improve the lives of comparatively few children who just need that different learning environment. Additional transparency and accountability metrics include a penalty for misusing the program, up to and including a felony, as with any other tax fraud. The State Tax Commission will publish updates on the credit amounts, ensuring transparency with the total credits available each year. Additional accountability and transparency metrics include providing a report to the governor, the controller, the legislative committees, the number of parents applying for the credit, the average amount awarded, the income of the households, and the geographic area of the applicants. However, if you're looking for our expansive education laws, Title 33 is not in this bill, nor are all the rules, hundreds of pages of IDAPA rules in this bill. You won't find the federal rules and regulations in this bill either. You regulate government monopolies differently than you regulate the free market. And Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to speak to that in depth when I return, should this committee choose to introduce this bill. But the short version is this: we are not looking to duplicate the public school accountability system. Private schools already have their own responsible and accountable metrics and standards. They have caring board members and teachers who create each school's metrics for success, the same way that homeschool parents do for their own children. I'll give you one simple example. When almost 100% of teachers are proficient, or perhaps only 60 or 70% of students are proficient at literacy in a particular school, you must ask yourself the value of the government's teacher evaluation process. What value is that adding to the government system in a way that benefits children's literacy. It may be viewed as an accountability metric to some, but if too many children can't read, that's hardly fair to them, and it appears ineffective. In fact, you may see, actually you won't see it, but some other committees might, some education red tape reduction bills from me later this session. But as one director of a private school who exclusively serves children with disabilities in North Idaho has taught me, the Individuals with Disabilities Act, IDEA, requires a free and appropriate education for students with disabilities. It does not require treatment for the disability, and there's a big difference. That's not for any lack of heroic efforts on the part of our special education students, or teachers, I mean. It's just the way the system is built. Ask any special education teacher if they would rather spend less time on federal hoop jumping in meetings and paperwork and more time with a child who has special needs. Public schools in Idaho are not required to accept external evaluations from neuropsychologists and other experts, even when those external evaluations would provide critical insight to that child's needs. This is a state policy, candidly, that does a disservice to our children with disabilities. As one parent of an autistic child, Adam Pishuk, has written, private schools are not bound by the same rules, regulations, and processes as public schools, and that's precisely the point. These policies provide families, school choice policies provide families with new opportunities while taking no existing opportunities away from other children. Brown v. Board said that race cannot be the deciding factor in school attendance. I believe it is time in Idaho for income and zip code and disability status to no longer be either. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, that's the short version. I am happy to return further with further detail if the committee chooses to introduce this bill.